Okay, good morning, students. We're going to continue on our journey through Excel. We're going to learn 3 new things today. We're going to learn about autofill options, creating random data, and conditional formatting. So we'll start off with autofill options, and I'm going to try and give you some examples of how powerful the autofill feature is in Excel. We'll start off over here on the far left by creating a series of numbers. You can create a series of any pattern that you want. Give it 2 numbers, let autofill determine the pattern that you are interested in, and then it will take over from there. So for example, say you start off with number 2 and you want to go up counting by 5 at a time, starting with number 2. So the next number would be 7, which you'd put in there. You come up here, you'd highlight the 2 rows with the numbers in it, so autofill can see the pattern. Move over the autofill handle and just drag down as far as you want to go. So there you can see we've created a series of numbers starting with 2 and bumping up by 5 at a time. Let me undo this here. Let me wipe these 2 out here. Okay, you can do anything you want. If you start at number 12 and you can go up to say 27, you're going up by 15. Okay, 12 to 27, going up by 15. Let the autofill handle do its thing. Works very nicely. One limit is if you want to have hundreds and hundreds of rows or columns, then you don't want to just be dragging all the way down across multiple screens. There's an easier way to do that, and I'll show you right over here using the large series option. Let's say you wanted to count by 5, starting with number 5 and going up to number 10,000. You don't want to drag the autofill handle down that many rows. So what you do is you put in your first number, press enter, highlight that cell, go up to the autofill option. We're going to create a series here. The series is going to be, this is a little confusing. If you want to have it go down a column, you've got to put it in column here. And this means it'll stay in one column. The step value is going to be 5. We're going to go up 5 each time. And the stop value is going to be 10,000. So when you click on OK here, it's going to create numbers counting by 5 all the way up to 10,000. And if you don't believe me, you can scroll all the way down here. And you have to go down to the 2004th row to see that our last number of 10,000 is there in place. So that's pretty cool. Okay, let's go over to days of the week. So type in Monday. And if you want to create a sequence of all the days, type in the next day. Now highlight those 2 days, use the autofill handle to pull down, and it'll create a whole week's worth of days, and it'll recycle for as many columns or rows that you include. Okay, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, then it starts all over again. So that's a very easy way to get the days of the week in there. Same thing goes over here with months. You can put in January, come down February, click on those 2 to highlight them, drag down the autofill handle, and it'll create the whole calendar year. When it gets to December, it'll start over again and recycle the months. So you just control how many months you want. Taking a look over here, you can do some wonderful things with times also. So you wanted to create a time schedule incrementing every 15 minutes starting say at 9 a.m. Very easy to do. So 9:00 a.m. The next one would be 9:15 a.m. Now all you've got to do is highlight those 2 and drag down as far as you want to go. And boom, Excel does the rest with the autofill feature. You can see it's incrementing by 15 minutes with every entry. When it gets up to 12 o'clock, it changes from AM to PM. So this thing is right on top of things. Okay, I can do some interesting things with dates too. So you put a date in here, 2/14 1950, for example. Click on that date, drag it down, the autofill handle, say down to here. Now you get a little autofill option here, and this is where you can have some control over these dates, because as you see, it just incremented the dates by 1 day every time, starting at 2/14/1950. But what if you wanted to increment by months or by years instead of by days? If you click on the options here, you can see that you could change it to months. So now it goes from February to March to April, staying on the same date, going in the same year. Let me undo that. We'll drag it down again and click on the options here, and you can choose fill years. So now it bumps it up 1 year at a time on that same date, February 14th. Okay, undo that. You can drag it down here again. You can click on fill weekdays. Let's see, I'm not sure what that's going to do. Okay, so it just pulls out the weekdays and ignores the weekends. You can see after the 17th, it goes through to the next Monday and ignoring all the weekend days. Okay, another useful thing to do is fill formatting only. We have the format painter up here, but that's only good for copying one cell. What if you wanted to copy a pattern of 3 different cells or 5 different cells? That's where you use autofill. So for example, say you wanted this cell to have a background color of green, this one here to have a background color of yellow, this one here to have a background color of light blue. Now if you highlight these 3 and you wanted to use that combination many times over, all you've got to do is drag down and it builds a pattern for you. Very nice. Okay, let's try and do something over here where we fill data only, where you have some formatting. So let's say 2, 9, and that's going up by 7, so go to 16. Okay, and we'll color these also. We'll make that green, or blue, I should say. This will be a darker blue, and this one here will be a gray. Now, if you highlight these 3, drag them down to here, but you only wanted the formatting or you only wanted the data, you could control that right here. If you clicked on fill formatting only, it just pulls the formatting. It does not deal with the series incrementing. Or if you dragged it down like this, you could click on fill without formatting. So it picks up the pattern, fills it in, but ignores the formatting. Okay, the last thing I want to show you is something called flash fill, which is very cool, very powerful. So you've got these 2 columns of people's first names and last names, and you wanted to have a column that had their first name and their last name. So you could use the flash fill feature where you type what the first example would be, come down to the next example, type in the first letter of the first name. It sees that you're picking up and creating a pattern where you're adding the first cell plus the second cell with a space in between. It automatically acknowledges that. If you press the enter key, it goes down and it builds the whole list there for you. There will be no need for you to create a need to type all those names. That's the flash fill feature. The flash fill feature can always also be invoked up here on the data tab, right here under flash fill. So if you went back here, you deleted this, you typed in Bob Cobb, came in here, clicked on flash fill, it'll automatically do exactly what you had just done using the same pattern that you had created. Okay, so those are some good examples of how you can use some of the autofill options in Excel. And you just need to practice these and you'll get comfortable with them, hopefully. Okay, let's talk a little bit about conditional formatting. It sounds complicated, but it's actually very easy to do. What is conditional formatting? Just what the name says. It's where certain formatting is applied to information if criteria that you set gets met. If the criteria is not met, then no formatting is applied. If it is, the formatting is applied. Let's take a look at a simple example here. I've got a student roster of student names over here, SAT scores that I made up, some scores over here. Let's say we're interested in seeing, having it jump out at us visually, all the scores that are 700 and above. So that would be a classic example for conditional formatting. What you have to do is select the information you want to apply the formatting to. You click in the first value here and then drag down to select everything. Notice we're not using the autofill handle, we're just dragging down to select this range of values. Now that we have them selected, we have to apply the conditional formatting. We'll go up here to the conditional formatting, drop down on the Home tab, and we want to be in the highlight cell rules, and the first choice is the one we need, greater than. We want to see all values show up that are greater than 699, 700 and above. So 699, since these are positive scores and not negative to be in this range of good scores, then we want to show them in a green, more positive color than a red negative color. So we change the color over here. This is where your different formatting choices are. Green filled with dark green text is the best choice, and we say OK. And now you can easily see that all the scores that were over 700 are showing up in green, and all the rest are just below 700. So there's an easy example of conditional formatting. If you want to apply different formatting, you can highlight everything, come back into here, clear all the rules, clear rules from selected cells. I'll come back, highlight everything. Let's take a look at some other choices we have here. If you go back into highlight cell rules, you can choose values that are less than, values that fall between two numbers. Let's say you want to see all people that fall between $4.99 and $6.99, just for example. You say $4.99 and $6.99. Whoops. $6.99, and let's choose yellow filled with dark yellow text. So there's all the people that meet that criteria. Okay, let's highlight it again, clear our information, clear rules from selected cells, select everything again, take a look at a few other ones. If you come back in here, you can see that you can find numbers that are equal to a certain value. You can also find text. It's not always numbers. You can find text in here. We're not doing text right now, but if you're looking for text that has certain letters in it, then this would be how you do it. You can find dates, or you can find duplicate values. Now, look in this category here, top 10 rules. This is where you can find the top 10 items, the bottom 10, the bottom 10%, above average, below average. Let's just try the ones that are above average here. And we'll change these to green. Okay, so these scores are all above average that are in green. The ones that are not formatted are scores that are below average. Okay, highlight this again. We'll clear the rules. Go back, select these. A couple other choices, conditional formatting. Data bars are nice. I like the gradient filled data bars. So it puts a nice little bar chart in each one. It shows the size of the chart is based upon the value of the number. So you can see the lower the number, like 77 here is a very small bar chart indicator, and they all reflect the numbers. That's a very nice way to look at information. Let's go back and clear these rules here. Highlight these again. Go back in, conditional formatting. You can choose color scales. So it'll divide the values into 3 different colors, low, medium, and high. For example, green, yellow, and red. The highest values are in green, the middle values are in yellow, and the lower values are tending towards the red colors. Okay, we'll clear these, conditional formatting, clear rules, go back in, whoops, gotta select everything, go back in, conditional formatting. Let's go to icon sets. These are kind of nice. You can choose different indicators. The arrows are good. The green arrows are the higher scores. The red arrows are the lower scores. The yellow arrows are the scores that are kind of in between. Here's some other ones. Shapes and flags, which are kind of nice. So you can see that the ones in green flags are the higher scores. Yellow flags are the middle scores. The red flags are the really low scores. So there's a lot of different ways you can format this information to show you what you want. Let's do one more here. Initial formatting. Let's go back into data bars. Let's go top bottom rules, and let's see the top 10 items, and we'll format them in green. So those are the top 10 scores. So you can see that there's many different ways to format the information. Also, you can go in conditional formatting and edit your rules here. Manage rules. You have to edit the rules. Here's the rule that we created. Here's the rule types, and here's the criteria down here. So you have the ability to go in and change the rules that you created without having to redo them. Okay, so that is conditional formatting in a nutshell. You need to just practice with it a little bit, play with it, and I'm sure you'll find it quite easy to use. So with that, we're going to stop for today, and we'll have another video tomorrow. See you later.